This episode of iFanboy is brought to you by Dead Space, Only the Dead Survive, Squarespace, and GoDaddy.
Baltimore Comic-Con with Michael Bendis.
Hi.
How you doing?
I didn't know we were video filming, so
we always catch you by surprise.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're here with Marvel editor Lauren Sankovitch.
Hello, hello.
So it takes some work to chase you down at a convention. This is your only appearance this year? Or?
I haven't done a lot of conventions in the last couple of years, only because family stuff, and you kind of want to stay home and make the donuts and focus on the work. I know the generation before me, kind of the 90s guys, were doing a lot of shows, and their books weren't coming out regularly, and that's a trap you can fall into because, we're here, everyone's being very nice to us. I mean, it's very nice. You can certainly see the appeal of coming out and having people be nice to you because most of the time I'm alone in my basement. So, but yeah, so you come out. So when you do come out, especially we're in the middle of Secret Invasion, it's a little overwhelming how nice everyone's being and how much of it is. So yeah.
Because I remember like 10 years ago, you were at like every show.
Well, when you're coming up or when you're an indie creator, sometimes the shows you're literally selling your book one at a time. No joke. I'd go to San Diego with a handful of JINXs, and if I didn't sell them all, I don't know how I was getting home. And that's the life that we led for, almost 10 years, and kind of get used to it after a while. But yeah, so it's a very different experience for me now, but it's certainly better than what it was. I don't want to go back to that. This is
different phase in your career, right?
This is much better.
So speaking of your career, the big event, Marvel event of the summer has been Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
So we're almost at the end is in sight. Issue 6 came out recently.
Yeah, I am way into next summer. Yeah, so wow. for me, it's I'm very excited about what's going to happen in the Avengers books post. Right. We've already announced Dark Avengers is coming out right after Secret Invasion, a part of an overall concept called Dark Reign that will affect a lot of the Marvel Universe that I think people really enjoy, that they haven't seen before, that reveals things about certain characters that we haven't seen before, and that's the kind of stuff that I love. So that's what I'm in right now, so I'm very, very excited for that to come out.
So all the stuff we're all bickering about online is really old news to you? And
no, you know what? I actually, when issue 6 came out, I was very relieved. There's always this a varying degree of will people react to it the way you want it to react. So sometimes you write something and go, it's going to piss everybody off, and it either does or doesn't, these kind of things. Issue 6, and particularly the last half of Secret Invasion, the reaction has been overwhelmingly what I hoped it would be. Right. So if anything, I'm relieved, because if you bought it up till now, you'll enjoy the ending a great deal. Right. So that now I feel relieved, more or less. It didn't tank financially, which I have no control over, but that it's still something you worry about. It did well. The reaction to it is what I would have hoped for. And so I can enjoy it a little bit. Right. Enjoy is not the word, but that's the best I can come up with. Right. Yeah.
Well, what I found interesting was the storytelling on it was a little unique in that you used the main book, which had some criticism that was kind of slow going up until these last couple issues. But then with the side books, is that a lot of people said that's where the action has been, and that's where you've been kind of going back in time, leading up to tie back into the main book.
That slow going is always an odd criticism for me because, and Laura will test you. I take an issue and I keep writing and it ends up being like 35 pages and I go, shoot, how am I going to get all this into, and I do, and I get it all. I don't cut it off at 22. Right. I take my giant epic and I shove it down to 22 pages. Like, whoa, this thing is packed. Yeah. This thing is full of story. And then when it comes out, people go, that was pretty slow. I'm like, oh my God. To me, so I have a different view of it, or right. I have a different view the way what I want to see come out of a comic. Right. The one aspect of it, I think people didn't think the heroes would be in the Savage Land as long as they were, but it was funny. I know, but it's a funny thing to me because they were in it a total of like 40 pages. Like they were in it a little bit for those 5. Like it wasn't like we were just stuck in the Savage Land issue after issue after issue. Right. It was one of the elements of the larger story. Structurally, I hold by it because it was the first 2 acts, and at the end of the 2 acts, they got out to get to the 3rd act, so it held pretty good there. So, and I did sell it to you in the first act. In the first issue, I got them to Savage Land, so it's not like they have to leave the Savage Land the next page. Obviously, I told you, part of the story will now happen in the Savage Land, so I don't know. What are you going to do?
Can't really win either way.
I know.
So now the stories go that since the moment you got to Marvel, you've been planning this from like day one, and now reality. I mean, things like Civil War happen and things like House of M happen.
Well, actually, the reality is I started planning it from a New Avengers #1, which is before Laura's time, actually. And I did say to Tom, "Here's what I want to do. I want to do this." I just signed a longer contract with Marvel. I was definitely in a rarefied air as far as freelancers who really don't know how long they get to stay on their book. But I knew, barring it doesn't tank, I get to hang on for a while. Yeah. And New Avengers launched very strong, and I said, here's the plan. Yeah. And if we do it right, we really have to keep it hush-hush. We really have to keep it between ourselves and not even tell the artist so he doesn't end up in Rich Johnson's column or something, and really make it, because the reveal's got to be as exciting and hopefully, something people talk about. And
but there are things that crop up that you didn't plan for.
No, but that was the cool thing. So what would happen was I had this plan, and we told the higher-ups, this is the plan. So when Civil War came about, part of which I was part of, I sat back as the Queen of the Skrulls going, ooh, this helps me. World War Hulk helps me. And it made me actually feel that what we were doing was the right thing. Like this all is organically helping it. It made me feel like this is the right way to go. Right. Because I could easily pull that at any time. You would have never known. And but these things are really only accentuating the experience, and it was very easy to, because as the Skrulls would be there trying to do their business, oh, here comes Civil War. Right. Does it help them or hurt them? If it helps them, what would they do? Right. You can then be the Skrull in the writing and figure it out. So, yeah. Was
there anything that happened that really kind of effed up your plans, and you're just like, now I got to figure out how to write around this, or everything kind of fell into place that nicely?
Mostly Jeff Loeb's work, but I just tend to ignore it anyhow. So, this Red Hulk thing, I don't know. Not really, because by the time... It was about 2 years ago. We told everyone in the room, "Here's what's the plan," and we even said it wasn't supposed to be in the form of Secret Invasion. It was supposed to be like it would happen in the Avengers books, wherever. I said, "Here's my bigger story," and then the Marvel said, "Well, you're really setting up another big event here. I mean, if this really works the way you want it to work, it's an event." And I'm like, okay, but I thought, because I already did House of M, I thought I already kind of did mine. Thought everybody gets like one turn, And they're like, no, this is. So they just said, here's 8 issues. Do your thing and take your tie-in books. And I was like, all right, good. We got it ready to go, and that's the form it took. Cool. So, and by that time, everybody was already in, and they were kind of like aiming towards it with me, and it would survive many retreats. Like these retreats that we do, these creative retreats, they're very intense. We end up crying a lot. There's a lot of crying. There's a lot of but Secret Invasion survived about 4 of them, which made me feel really good. Like it's gonna survive the internet because it.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Little star, how I wonder what you.
Dead Space recently won the Game Critics Awards Best of E3 2008 for Best Action Adventure Game and is in stores October 16th. For more information and to order the game, head to deadspace.ea.com. And if you know any hardcore gamers, you know that Dead Space is easily one of the most anticipated games of this holiday season, so don't wait. Order Dead Space now.
So now, any normal writer writing the Avengers, 2 Avengers titles, and Secret Invasion would be enough work. But
it's enough work.
But you also have got a bunch of other books, and Ultimate SpiderMan, which has been going on since 2000. It's been going on 8 years now, 9 years.
You know what? I started in 1999, but it launched in 2000. So I'm having a 10th anniversary special for myself.
Yay.
It's a book. I can't believe I was offered it. I had a lot of false starts at Marvel in my earlier years, including a Spider-Woman series that never went anywhere. And so then you finally get the call, you want to start Spider-Man over from scratch. And they actually it was pitched to me as a 6-issue miniseries, which people don't even remember now at Marvel, which is funny because it was. And I kind of ignored them and kept going. Yeah. Like if they could, they seemed happy, so I just kept writing. And it was a trick. I did that on Sandwich Twitch too when I got offered that. Yeah. It was a 5-issue miniseries, and I just kept typing like I didn't hear you, and I figured I got a 50-50 chance. They'll just get So that's a trick for you up-and-comers. Just
learn that.
Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Hear what you want to hear. And so it's amazing that the whole line actually survived. There's a lot of lines that have come and gone in the history of comics. They last about a 2-year shelf life, about a year and a half before they implode. The reason I think it survived is because Joe kept to his word and kept it small, kept it to the 4 core titles and a little bit here and there. Didn't shove the word ultimate onto everything because they thought it would be worth 20,000 extra sales, which a lot of people do. They've done it in the history of comics. So I was very grateful that he held to his word and really made it this tight-knit thing that was very creator-focused and very true to itself. So I can't believe I still have the job. I can't believe the book's still in production.
100 and some 20s.
I'm in 130s, and it's
getting ready to send issue 127 to the printer in next week or the week after.
Yeah, just the annuals and the final throes of production, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're very happy about the annual. Annual.
Who drew the annual? Because I remember the artist on the annual has always become a big thing now. Something we look forward to. Like last year was Mark Brooks.
This one is David LaFuente. And David LaFuente hasn't done a lot yet. He did Hellcat, which you can check it out. It's really beautiful. Almost looks like a European graphic novel. Yeah. And the minute I saw him, I was gaga over him. And I grabbed him for this story, which is a very unique story because it deals with the touchy subject of Peter Parker's virginity.
Right.
And this was a hard sell. I mean, I sold this. It took about 2 years to get to sell. The first time I sold it, I got a big laugh. And this is before your time too. I said, I want to do Will Peter Parker, Mary Jane do it? And Dan goes, that's it. And I went, okay, maybe not now. Hold on. And then slowly I said, no, really, guys, there's certain subjects in the Ultimate because of Ultimate Spider-Man's real world view of the modern thing, there's certain things about it that you can't ignore the fact that there's sexual tension or paranoia in the high school place. I mean, it's part of life. It's all they think of, it's all I think about. I'm in my 40s. So anyway, so we're very happy this is coming out, and David LaFuente took this and really turned it into a spectacular event for us. Right. So yeah.
So now the thing is, I remember hearing that you've gotten Ultimate Spider-Man scripts in the bank, way out. But then there's a big change coming, the big ultimatum thing, which, from what I've heard, is going to be fairly earth-shattering.
Yeah, I'm not as banked as I used to be. I used to be banked up. I was at one point banked up about 16 issues.
Wow.
2 things. I was trying to. I was in this. Well, they're going to fire me eventually. I never had a job more than 19 issues, so I was like, I always end up getting let go. So I thought I'll just, while they're happy, just start banking it. And so even if I'm let go, I still have a book coming out for about a year or whatever, or it's going to get canceled, so start piling them on. Number one, Secret Invasion was a lot of work. It kind of took away from the output of Spider-Man, but also because Jeff Loeb, I didn't want to write too much past him and then create this weird conflict where I'm locking him into things that he may not want to do, or he may have thought of something better in his third act that I've confused the situation. So now I'm writing along with him, and then when Ultimatum is done, I will then shoot past him.
So are those like untold tales of Ultimate Spider-Man, or you'll reuse that material, or?
No. I got a pile of stuff to do. I know we have a pretty strong idea of what the Ultimate Universe will be like post Ultimatum. Yeah. So I have a laundry list of things to do.
So what is the Ultimate Universe like post Ultimatum?
Oh goodness. Well, with Ultimatum, it's our first really big overarching Ultimate event, which really will impact every book in the line. And coming out of that, we're really going to see kind of a brand new landscape. Not a brand new day, but maybe you want to call it that. But the core values of the Ultimate Universe will remain. Strong, creator-driven stories by some of the top talent in the industry, or the top talent in the industry, and with a small, close-knit universe with a strong emphasis on keeping that continuity that we've all come to know and love, and really taking that to the next level and really having a good time with it.
Well, we certainly discovered over the years that the things that people seem to enjoy the most about the Ultimate Universe is there are things that are very different from the Marvel Universe. Like even the Kitty went over so well in Ultimate Spider-Man, just that dynamic. And I was actually surprised by that. I thought I was going to get dumped on because people like Mary Jane so much that they're like, but in all the books, in Ultimate X-Men and Ultimates, everything that's genuinely different is the things that people seem to like the most. And I think what you're going to see after Ultimatum is a lot more of that. You're going to see just a landscape that the similarities between the two are going to be completely different, which I think will be very appealing to the comic buyer, Yeah,
the tough thing with the Ultimate Universe, at least for us, has been you're always waiting for, okay, they're ultimizing this character and they're ultimizing this storyline. And I know the X-Men title suffered from that a lot. I mean, you had great writers on that. You wrote on it for a little while, and it just never seemed to take. But Spider-Man and the Ultimates seemed to take where it took it in a different direction.
Well, I mean, first of all, none of the books are doing poorly, and particularly Ultimate X-Men did very, very well.
All sales and quality,
But listen, you got Brian K. Vaughan and Robert Kirkman and Mark Millar in the book, and it's doing well. It's hard to argue, that someone's enjoying it for different. And I actually thought Brian K. Vaughan's run was a lot of fun. With Stuart Immonen, by the way. So,
long shot.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I will agree with you that the novelty of the ultimized version of, Rocket Raccoon or whatever isn't as appealing as it might have been a few years ago, because we've kind of seen it unless you've got a really unique take. Particularly, like, I haven't really done one in a while, and the one I've saved is Mysterio, who makes his debut in Ultimate Annual. Look, you went, ooh, like you would actually
favorite characters.
Like, you actually, I would like to see that. Like, like you really have to think about, not just randomly ultimizing characters, but if you have a character that's going to make a debut in the Ultimate Universe, it should be different than the one that's there, very much so. And it should hopefully be as intriguing as I hope it will be.
The Ultimate Universe has now been around for, almost, 10 years, I guess, at this point? 9.5 years. And to be perfectly honest, when I started out just even reading comics as a fan, one of the first books I picked up was one of the Ultimate books, Ultimate X-Men. So, I've had a close tie to this universe, basically from when I actually started reading comics, which I'm kind of dating myself since it hasn't been all that long. But what I really felt with this is that it was getting it had a sense for people like myself who hadn't been inundated with comics and hadn't been a part of I guess the comics lore and the history from way back when. Like, this was like just this great jumping on point for people who hadn't been awash in all of that continuity. Just something that rang true with my generation, or something that was modern and it was easy to get access to, and that you didn't have to understand what a comic was all about. You could pick this up and say, wow, this is a really awesome story. And so working in the Ultimate Universe has really been kind of I guess you could call it a fangirl dream, that I really get to participate in these wonderful stories. And now what we're doing with Ultimatum is we're basically taking everything that we've created so far, and we're bringing it back to revisiting that original greatness. Like, I think we've had some fabulous runs with these wonderful stories, great characters that have been introduced, but I think what we're trying to get back to is really that sense of, like, these are the stories that are going to knock you on your ass. These are the stories that are really going to kick comicdom's butt for years to come. And that's really what Ultimatum's all about, is like really getting us back to that intimate small world that has these rich stories that with the characters that actually that visibly interact with one another, like across books. You can read one book and be totally satisfied, but you can read all of them and say, wow, I see this hitting in this book and in this issue, and it's rolling through all these different stories. And what's been really awesome is working with Brian, working with Mark, working with Jeff, Jeff, and that all these guys really want to work together and to create like this great whole universe.
Does the focus of just a couple of books help to plan that? Like when you look, because Avengers is so big and the regular Marvel universe is so spread out, but Ultimate is just these 4 books that are just moving it forward. Does that help to kind of edit it and move it along? Or?
It definitely does, but as Brian can attest, like really going, writing Ultimate Origins and really like trying to and like putting establishing the history and the backstory is the Ultimate Universe is just chock full. Like the continuity is so rich, even with the 10 years. Like we have the amount of information to keep straight and to make sure that we wrangle into order has been a monumental task and has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. It is pretty dense already, and I thought all of the writers that birthed it, and like Loeb as well, were all very Joseph Campbell mythology students, and we definitely build a mythology, and then you got 3 guys in a room that all do that. That's it's super packed like that. I think that's why. I think that that's the one thing we have in common is that. So.
Yeah. So it's been a really fun journey, and I'm really looking forward to Ultimatum and to the brave new world that we're creating after that.
So when does Ultimatum hit?
Ultimatum, the first 2 issues are double shipping in this November. So we get ready for the 1-2 punch of Jeff and David Finch will be coming down the pipeline. There's all sorts of craziness that are going down there. Those first 2 issues are literally going to knock you on your ass and then back onto your feet again and then maybe back onto your ass.
iFanboy would like to thank Squarespace.com for sponsoring this episode. If you ever wanted to build a complex high-end website but you don't know a thing about coding, Squarespace has the tools for you. You can build websites with high-end functionality and all sorts of complex stuff on them using their tools. Whether you have a large, powerful business or you just want to build a real nice blog, Squarespace has got what you need. They give everyone the opportunity to build pages that are just as powerful and flexible as those of the big dog. Keep an eye out for some pages that Squarespace is going to be building for us. GoDaddy.com, thanks for sponsoring this episode. Web hosting from GoDaddy.com includes 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to Hosting Connection, the place to install over 30 free applications, sir, to help you get the most from your hosting plan and website. If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has what you need. .com names as low as $1.99, world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and much more. Looking to drive viewers to your video content? Then get a .tv domain name and stand out from the crowd. TV domains are perfect for podcasters, video bloggers, or anyone with something to say, and they're available now at GoDaddy.com.
The book that introduced me to your work was Powers. Number 1. The iFanboy stories, we all randomly bought it, and we said, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, you guys are really nice to us about Powers. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Well, we're because we like it. It's but so you made an announcement just a couple of minutes ago at the panel here about Powers number 30 is ending the volume 2.
You know what? We've been just sick about the last couple of years. The Powers schedule has been a nightmare. It's just been terrible. And it was some personal issues that Mike was having that he discussed online, and there was some other professional things that were going on, but we never meant to have it spiral out of control like it did, and we were very dedicated to it. And I actually think 30 is the best issue the book has had.
It was great. It was really good. Yeah.
I think it's Mike's best issue. I was really happy about it. I also think I liked it so much because I wrote it so long ago, I didn't remember writing it. So when I read it, I go, this book's awesome. No, so, but truthfully, we sat down and I said, here's what we're going to do. We'll go dark on the main book. Yeah. Mike's going to get 5-6 issues in the can. Yeah. When we're ready to roll, we're going to debut with a new number 1. Because also, if you've read 30, it is the end of a volume.
That was my observation. I felt as if you guys ended it there, that would be, and I wouldn't want it to end, but that would be a good ending. It felt like a good ending point.
Well, it definitely is the end of a major chapter in the book, and when I read it all put together, I went, well, this is definitely the end of a volume. There's no question. So tell you what we'll do. We'll go dark. We'll get a bunch of issues in the can, and then we'll relaunch next year, which happens to be our 10th anniversary. I know, I can't believe it either. And we'll come out monthly like a normal comic book comes out. And so in the meantime, we'll catch up on our trades. We'll get the hardbacks out as well. We're behind on that. We'll get all the stuff that people have been asking us for to get out. Will come out. And then when Powers does come out, even for people who haven't read Powers before, they'll be able to dig in with a new number 1 and a new case and really enjoy the giant mythology we've created. All the meanwhile, I will be working on the Powers TV show that's coming out hopefully within this year.
Do you know what channel it's going to be on? Or?
I do. They told me they want to hold off till they have a big casting announcement and all that.
Right.
I'd rather tell you because I like people to maybe go pick up Retro Girl, and I want some of that Watchmen money. That's what I want. Anyway, no. I actually hope it gets people to pick up the book. But it's a network that allows swearing. It's a network that allows the level of mature content that we've been doing. So and we have a director attached, and I'm writing the pilot. And we're ready to roll.
So is that, coming, you did Fortune and Glory almost 10 years ago now as well, which is and you've had a lot of experience with Hollywood. Is it kind of freaky to actually get one? I mean, it sounds like it's close. I mean, it's happening. Yeah,
there's a couple of things that are close. You know what? That's part of my, I'm doing the Harvey speech tonight, the Harvey Award speech. And that's part of my speech is how amazing it is, this seismic shift in how we're treated, how they treat comic book creators in Hollywood. In fact, I'll be talking about it tonight, so I don't want to ruin it for you. But last time I was at the Harvey Awards, Frank Miller was giving the keynote speech, and he got up on stage, and he was mad. He took a wizard and he ripped it up. Were you there for this?
No,
Did you see this?
No.
He got up on stage, took a wizard, ripped it in half, threw it across the room, and said, can I swear?
Yeah, of course.
These Hollywood fuckers. And he never actually said what he was so mad about, but clearly something pissed him off this week, and we've all been there. We all someone lied to him. So I don't know what it was, but he was and then you cut to just a few years later, and he's a genuine Hollywood icon now. He's literally above the title talent, yeah. And he's got his hits under his belt, and there's Mike Mignola's making Hellboy, and just on my little level, I remember when we first sold Powers. There was no way in hell I was going to get to adapt it myself. And in fact, they said no and gave us a little extra to make it up to us. We don't want you to do it. We've had a lot of bad experience with people adapting their own work. Little did they know I hate myself so much I would tear into it. They didn't know that, but so I and then when this happened years later, and now I'm up to the point where if I'm not selling it if I'm not writing it because I don't. Well, I've read some bad script adaptations of my work. It's really nauseating. It's really upsetting, and I don't want to do that anymore. If someone fucks it up, I'll fuck it up. That's fine. I'll be the one. And when I said, well, I'm going to write, if you guys want to make a Power TV show, I'm writing the pilot, they went, oh, of course you are. It wasn't even a question. And I went, wow, there's been a shift, a seismic shift. So it's very interesting to me. Yeah, so it's been I could fill up a Fortune Glory 2 full of more bad meetings of stupid people that said dumb things to me. I got some juicy material that I'm saving for. In fact, I don't want to put out another Fortune Glory of just me doing more bad meetings because at one point you'll be in the book going, why do you keep going to them? The reader will turn on me. At one point, this is your fault, man. But these experiences are happening now with Powers and Torso. Looks like it's close. This will get another Fortune Glory. This new experiences that I can relate.
Cool.
Yeah.
The other question I wanted to ask you was the Bendis board is a force on the internet.
Yes.
And
I'm very proud of it.
And the culture between fans and creators is completely. It's similar in theme than back in the '60s when people would write in and they'd get letters, but it's so much.
I wasn't alive in the '60s.
Well, I know, but from what I've read, from what I've seen, but it's so much more hyper connected to the fans, and you're one of the creators that are leading that way. What is your what is your point of view in dealing with the fans and giving them a place to come and basically yell at you all day? Well, and how do you still get your work done?
Mostly they ignore me, which it's an interest. That's kind of where the board has gone, where my existence on the board is a distant fifth to everything else that's happening on the board and the relationships to each other. But what I've loved about it, and I've had that board since, literally since I could afford one. Yeah. And what it's grown into, as my career has grown into something else, what it's grown into is something I'm immensely proud of. And that the fact that now, when I was a kid, a convention like this would be the only time you would meet anybody who had a similar interest as you. All right, I read a comic book, and I had friends that loved that I was into comics, and they were happy for me, and some of them would listen to me go on and on and on about Frank Miller's Ronin or whatever I was crazy about then. But they were just happy for you. Now, whenever you can read, you go online, and there's like-minded thinking, like-minded thoughts that you can share, and that's so special. And the relationship, I've had marriages off my board. I mean, they're really unique relationships, not only between me and the guys on my board, some people who I genuinely like and trust, but it's just I think just a lovely symptom the whole world's social dynamic. You know what I mean? The Facebook of the world and what have you. But it's so amazing that, and I think it has a lot to do with like nerd being so chic over the last 10 years, is that you don't have to hide anymore. You can nerd out about whatever you want about, and there's 10 people who agree with you. Anything you can think of, anything, any nerdy damn thing you can think of, there's 10 people who have a website about it dedicated to the exact same thing. It's an amazing thing. And I often go on the board and go, you know, guys, when I was a kid, didn't have this. This is where you should take a moment and think about how cool this is. Yeah. And don't scare off every woman that comes on a comic book message board. Let them talk. Let's reread. Well, you're hot. You don't know her. Just as a woman's name, you know. So anyway, I think for my selfish reason for having it is it certainly allows. It certainly makes me hyperly aware that people are reading. You're very alone in a room creating stuff. It's very surreal. Like even when I go to like the grocery store and I'll see one of my books on the shelf, it only then occurs to me like, I write SpiderMan. That's actually the book that they sell on the shelf I bought when I was a kid. That's very weird. And I know it's bizarre to say that out loud. Some people will get it, some people won't. But it doesn't feel real until you see it printed, even to this day. So when I go on, my board is there, and just its existence keeps me from sucking. My inner not wanting to suck is accentuated by two things. The fact that one day my kids will read this stuff, and I really like them to think I was cool at one point. But also knowing that, and it's instantaneous. You write, a comic comes out, the comic store's open at noon, 12:05, there's a thread about it, and letting you have it, you know? So knowing that's going to happen and knowing that I've created a situation where not only me, but all my friends can't run away from it. You know, they all pretend, I don't read the message boards. They read everything. They're Googling their name like it's an Olympic event. And knowing that happens, it does make you, don't suck. This guy, you know, cat versus bats on Newsram or whatever, is going to let you fucking have it. So, you know.
Instant feedback.
Don't suck.
Yeah.
You know.
Cool. And so my final question is that...
You said that 2 questions.
I know. This is really my last one. Is that really you on Twitter now?
No, that is me on Twitter. There was a fake... Yeah, this is annoying, actually. Brian Reed, my dear friend, created a fake Brian Bendis Twitter account. I wasn't even on Twitter, so I was unaware of its existence, where he would post as me, misspelling every word.
It was very funny.
What I do. So, and Warren Ellis thought it was me. The people were having conversations with me, and it was Brian the whole time. And this went on, I found out, for 6-7 months. I did not know this was happening. So first I asked Twitter to cancel Brian Reed's entire account. I tried to kick him off of Twitter, because I think the only thing I could do in response is, I know how much he loved Twitter. To have him go on Twitter and it not be there for him one day would be great, but they wouldn't do it. But so I'm on Twitter now. I'm not sure why I'm on Twitter, but I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter just to stop the madness.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on MySpace. I'm
all over the internet.
Oh my God.